Hello, welcome, or welcome back to Heretic Tarot. Clearly, we're doing something a little bit different. This has been something that's been working its way through me for the last couple months, and I feel like I kind of finally have the energy to put it out there. Forgive me if you can hear me breathing kind of hard. I'm nervous. That's also been part of the process, getting over the fear, because new shit, right? Scary. And I don't really think that there's anything else kind of out there like this, which is the heretic in me. So before I kind of get ahead of myself, clearly we are talking about human design. Maybe that wasn't clear, but okay. We're talking about human design. And specifically for the purpose of these readings, we are going to be talking about your human design profile. Now, this may be the first time that you're hearing about human design, maybe not. I mean, you can be kind of diving into it too. I have been doing a deep dive into it. And what made me take that dive is my profile. I'm a 5/1, which is a heretic investigator, which is also where part of my name comes from, the name of this channel and the name of my business. So, reading about my profile, I mean, literal tears were were coming out of my eyes, because it was the first time and probably ever in my life that I had actually felt seen and understood, and I didn't feel inherently flawed, and I didn't feel crazy, for having the experiences that I had had. So from there, and with the 5/1 profile, it is very hard to be seen. So again, just feeling that recognition, hell yeah. I was like, give me everything. I need to know absolutely everything. And I don't, I'm not an authority on this. I'm not claiming to be, I am claiming to be a heretic and bringing more information. I do still have an intention of doing the Zodiac sign readings, but this is just a different way for you to get information regarding your situation. And that's what my intention is. Because also the one line in my profile loves investigation and just kind of having that information. That's not everybody, of course, but like I said, it's something different outside of your sun, moon, and rising sign. So, the readings are going to be the same. I mean, we'll get to, of course, the good stuff, but I just kind of want to set my intentions here and what you can expect. Really, the only thing that's changing is, like I said, we're not going to go by Zodiac. We're going to go by human design profile. At the beginning of each profile reading, I do have an intention of reading some new information. Like clearly, like I have the definitive book of human design here, which comes from the School of Human Design, which I did not attend, but I bought the book. And I think it's, of course, just starting at the source, right? Or not. Okay. And then, I have a few other books. There's a few other blogs, and things. So, I do intend to just kind of give a bit more information on each profile every time I put these readings out. And then from there, we're just going to go into like the regular tarot reading. So that part is going to stay the same. Now, if you know your profile, you can just skip ahead because you would be here because this is your profile. But if you don't know your profile yet, I'll link the website below. I use Joven Archive because, again, you know, it's kind of coming from the original. There are plenty of options when it comes to getting your human design. So, I mean, you can just Google human design chart and pick one. Of course, I mean, pick one that's free. I think for the most part they are, most of them, all of them. So you'll need the same information you need for your natal chart. So you'll need your birth date, the time, and location. Now with human design, the time does need to be as accurate as you can get it, because there are certain things that can change based on the time. So again, you would want to try to get that as accurate as you can. If you don't know the exact time, maybe you know that you were born sometime in the morning, maybe you know that you were born sometime in the afternoon or evening or overnight. You know, I mean, you can kind of use a general time that correlates to the time of day. Like morning, you can use 6 or 8 o'clock, afternoon, noon or 2 o'clock, evening, 6 or 8 o'clock, overnight, you know, I don't know, 1 or 3 o'clock. And if you don't really know that, like I have a friend who has no clue, like the time isn't even on her birth certificate, but she has always had this feeling that she was born in the morning and has just kind of rolled with that. So, you know, but you'll put in your information and you'll see your body graph. This one is mine. Aw. Now, your body graph is going to be unique to you. I don't think that it's impossible, but I think it's incredibly rare for somebody else to have your same exact design. There might be similarities, but as far as it being exact, that's pretty rare. Like my cousin and I have the same centers defined, which means that those centers are colored in. And we have some of the same channels and gates, which are those red or black areas between the centers, but it's not exactly the same. But there's a lot of similarities between us, but of course there's a lot of differences. So you'll see on the right or the left side, there's those numbers in red, that's the design side. And on the left, there's the numbers in black, which is your personality. And those numbers are the correlating gates, which again are the red and black lines between the centers. And the centers are those areas that are either colored in, there's 9 of them. They're either colored in or defined, or they are white or undefined. You can have all of them colored in, you could have none of them colored in, and you can have any combination of that in between. So it depending on how your screen looks, you might have to scroll down a little bit, or it might be to the right, but you'll see that there's listed a type, which would be either a manifester, a generator, a manifesting generator, a projector, or a reflector. You'll see definition, you'll see strategy, you'll see your profile, your inner authority, your not self theme, and your incarnation cross. Now, we are focusing on your profile. Some would say, and I would of course agree with them, that one of the more important aspects of human design is understanding your type, your strategy, and authority, because that is how it is best for you to operate in the world or navigate life in the best way suited for your personal design. So, I mean, you can just Google or jump on YouTube and type in manifester type, or just manifester human design, you know, whatever your type is, manifesting generator, you know, whatever your type is, Just type that information. I mean, there's so many. There's so much good information. Of course, you can buy books if that's what you're into. However, I will leave that more to you for the time being. And like I said, we are going to focus on your profile. And before we get into the readings, and actually before I even skip too far ahead, there are 12 profiles. And those are 1-3, which is the investigator martyr, 1-4, which is investigator opportunist, 2-4, the hermit opportunist, 2-5, hermit heretic, 3-5, martyr heretic, 3-6, martyr role model, 4-6, opportunist role model, 4-1, opportunist investigator, 5-1, heretic investigator, 5-2, heretic hermit, 6-2, role model hermit, and 6-3, role model martyr. So again, you'll find that there once you pull up your chart. And if you are new to human design, I just, because some people are like, what the hell? What is that? And again, I think that, I could talk for hours about what it is. And maybe someday I will. But for now, I just wanted to give this little snippet out of the definitive book of human design. It says the human design system is not a belief system. It does not require that you believe in anything. It is neither stories nor philosophy. It is a concrete map to the nature of being, a mapping of your genetic code. This ability to be able to detail the mechanics of our nature in such depth is obviously profound because it reveals our complete nature in all its subtleties. Excuse me. Human design opens a door to the potential of self-love, a love of life, and the love of others through understanding. Ra'uruhu. And that's the guy that channeled human design back in 1980 something. So that's just a little snippet about human design. And we're going to get on to the actual reading. Hello. So if you're here, you are a 5-2 or a heretic hermit. And like I said, we're just going to read a blurb from the definitive book of human design on what it says about that profile. And then we'll get into the reading here. Oh, my coffee or my cream with like a splash of coffee. Because that's how I make my coffee. So clearly this is 2 pages. I'm not going to read the full 2 pages today. I'm sure at some point I'll probably end up reading the whole thing, but I'm going to read this background here, which I feel like gives a decent overview of the profile. And then, like I said, we'll get into the tarot portion. So the background says, living within a dual projection field, heretic hermits must be their own stimulus or motivation. When the correct projection sets things in motions, the heretic calls its own hermit's gifts forth, applying or universalizing what it does naturally. 5-2s live an unusual life of constant projection. Returning to the house metaphor, we have the conscious 5th line on the 2nd floor, behind the curtain and looking out on the street, very aware that of the people below, projecting up at it as they wonder what is going on behind the curtain. The unconscious 2nd line is on the 1st floor, lights on, curtains open, dancing around, unaware that people are looking in and projecting onto it as well. This rare profile is referred to as a reluctant heretic, as it is quite commonplace for the heretic hermits to remain detached and uninvolved due to the uncertainty of whether they can deliver on the projection from others. Although they are a transpersonal profile, unlike 5-1s that have karma with the other, 5-2s carry their own karma within. They have to live out something based on what they lived out in the past, but they are the ones that have to discover it. If they don't, whatever it is does not get called out. Sorry. If they don't, sorry about that. So let me just go back. They have to live out something based on what they lived out in the past, but they are the ones that have to discover it. If they don't, whatever it is does not get called out and they do not get to universalize it. I'm going to read this paragraph as well. It's under the personal section. It says, "You are deeply gifted in an unusual way, and it is very important for you to understand how to engage with life. What you are waiting for is the correct internal call to something revolutionary, something you can lead others to that lies beyond the mundane plane. Once properly engaged, you are empowered to selflessly nourish those you are here to support while providing for your own material needs at the same time. Unlike 5-1s, who universalize a foundation, something they've investigated and studied, you are universalizing your own natural talents and gifts. This is personal and you can feel very vulnerable. When you are called to step in and help, you are asking people to believe in you. You have to stand on your own charismatic power alone, and this can create much uncertainty." Very interesting. Very interesting. Does that sound like you? I'm a 5-1, so I understand that fifth line projection, and I mean, you would want to take a look at your personality, sun and earth placements, the top two numbers on the right, and those will kind of give you more information on how people project onto you, which might kind of help that hermit in you, because like it was saying, you have that double projection, because with that hermit line, there's this like natural aptitude that comes along with that second line, and it's hard for the hermit to see it in themselves. So other people, but like other people can tend to pick up on those things really well. However, it doesn't necessarily stop there. Like sometimes people will be like, "Oh, well, you're really good at this, so you've got to be really good at this thing over here." And you're like, "No, I'm not even interested in that thing over there." So, but I think it's cool, like it was saying about how, you have to be your own stimulus and motivation. Because, what I've learned myself about being a 5-1 is that I have to have such a strong foundation in who I am. Granted, I have the G center defined also, which may provide a bit of assistance in that, but I've had to spend a lot of time sifting through my ego stories and kind of those things that make up who we are. It makes up our personalities and our identities and all of that. And I had to decide, is this mine? Like, is this actually how I feel about myself or how I view myself? Or was this some projection from somebody else? And I've just been carrying around their shit for, however long. So, and I think that there's so much power in that fifth line, because you do have this opportunity to be so grounded in yourself to the point where nobody can tell you who you are, because you already know, you know. So you could be like, that's actually not who I am, instead of believing like, oh, am I a terrible person? Like, you know, I've had people call me selfish. I've had people call me, you know, whatever. And I'm like, I'm actually really not, though. And, you know, just understanding that that was a projection coming in from them onto me, because they were actually the ones that were selfish. Anyway, and, you know, that it was talking about remaining detached and uninvolved due to the uncertainty of whether they can deliver on the projection. And that's, again, like, that's the thing, right? Is like, you know, you start kind of thinking about, like, instead of connecting to yourself and saying, you know, is this even something that I feel like I'm good at? Is this something that, you know, that heretic thing is lighting up in me, or is causing or calling on me for? Or again, you know, is this other people saying, hey, you would be really good at this, and then possibly getting burned because you didn't want to do it in the damn first place? But that's also where strategy and authority comes into play. So looking into that, and, you know, really kind of getting familiar with how that works for you. My dog is going crazy today. So, so if you notice, like, there's a bunch of like cuts or whatever, that's why. He's like neighborhood watch. So anyway, the last thing that I want to say before we get into the reading is that, you know, that second line is in the design side, and I kind of see the design side, or, you know, like the left-hand side. They call it the unconscious side also. But it's kind of like, it's like that stuff that's just there, right? Like, me being a 5/1, my first line is on the design side, and I just have this innate thing to want to investigate stuff. Like, I want to know how stuff works, and I very rarely will open my mouth to talk about it until I feel like I have a good understanding of it. So like with you having that second line in the design side, like, you may already have an inkling of kind of what your natural ability is. I mean, it can literally be anything. And, you know, there may be a concern, because it was talking about, you know, uncertainty, and, you know, it's very vulnerable to also kind of present that, you know, especially for a hermit to come out of their cave, right? And kind of present that thing that they kind of have that natural ability to universalize. And with the fifth line on the personality side, you know, there may be a concern that you're worried about what people are going to say. Maybe you have, you know, like kind of given a preview of what that natural talent or what that thing is that you're really interested in. And maybe people have been like, what? But again, you know, it's understanding that those are projections of how other people feel about themselves. It's their own fears, their own doubts, their own guilt, their own all of the shit that they're just kind of like projecting onto you. And that's nothing that you should be concerned about. What you should be concerned about is, what is that innate, you know, kind of gift that you have in there. So just like the Zodiac readings, I mean, you know, my intention is for these readings, of course, to be relevant to those of you that are watching this reading. It's not necessarily going to be like related to the actual profile. It can be, and if it does, I'll bring it up. But this is just a general tarot reading. And what is the message? Oh, and I don't know if I said, but like, I don't really have a spread. I just shuffle a bunch of times until the cards get annoyed with me. And then we'll lay a few cards down and see what's up. So, let's see. 7 of Cups, options. 10 of Stones, hell yeah. Seed of Stones, absolutely beautiful. I'll straighten these out in a second because that's going to bother me. Seed of Cups, the Emperor, oh, 2 of Wands. 9 of Stones, oh my goodness, hold on. This is beautiful. Okay. I know I say everything, every reading I've ever done, I'm like, this is beautiful. And it is, absolutely. Like every time. It has been absolutely beautiful. So we'll do what we do and we'll go through each card. And start putting stuff together. So like I said, we start with the 7 of Cups, which is options. Right? I mean, like there's something different in each one of these cups here. I never know what to do with my hands. Is it Anchorman that's like, I don't know what to do with my hands? Was it Anchorman or no? Who's that? I don't, if you know the movie I'm talking about, I feel like it was Will Ferrell though. Like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Is it? Huh. I don't know. If you know, if you know, let me know. So yeah, and this has to do with our emotions too, right? It's cups. So this is deciding on that thing that like, what is the thing that makes you feel good? This has that Marie Kondo like kind of feel to it. It's almost kind of like going through each cup and, you know, like recognizing like, does this make me feel good? And if it doesn't, it's got to go. And if it does, then it can stay. This could even just be picking that one thing that you feel good about right now. I mean, you know, it doesn't have to be like the one thing for the rest of your life or whatever, but you know, it's picking that one thing. And it could even be that one thing that's like on fire right now. Like, you know, really that thing that's kind of like creating a passion or like creating that fire within you. And what's interesting is that, you know, this figure is pointing to the cup that has the fire in it. And we end here with the 2 of Wands. And I'm just kind of getting this feeling about like rubbing those 2 of Wands together to spark that fire. We'll get to the 2 of Wands in a minute, but I just like, I was just kind of looking at those two. And then we have the Seed of Cups. So you go from, you know, maybe kind of choosing one, narrowing them down. This could even be like expanding your imagination. You know, because that saying, we're only limited by our imagination anyway, right? So this could even be just kind of allowing your mind to expand a little bit, even if, regardless of how you feel about what is possible and what isn't, that's not even the point. But it is, you know, like expanding, like literally taking down those barriers in our imagination. And it's almost like just kind of like sitting in there, because I've done this myself, where, you know, it's like being in this black, completely black space, like literally probably outer space, and recognizing how vast it is. Like literally it just keeps going. and almost just kind of like allowing your mind to stretch as far as vast is. Like, it's really kind of cool. So if you're into meditation, or if you want to give that a shot, like seriously, it's like, again, letting those mind walls down and just being like, holy shit, this is actually larger than I could even comprehend. And again, just letting, like taking up space almost, but in meditation and real life, okay? Like take up all the space in real life also. But anyway, so then the Seat of Cups is the Page of Cups, which is literally imagination, right? It has this kind of like playful, childlike kind of like wonder to it. As we, like there's this little beaver, I think that, or an otter, beaver or an otter. Like, hi. It's like waving. So, this could even be something new, like just by, maybe even expanding those imagination parameters, you maybe even discover something new about yourself, or even maybe just reconnecting to that thing in your past, like it was talking about, like maybe when you were a kid, you were really interested in, and you thought that, it was just kind of something that maybe came naturally to you. And you reconnect with that, because that's what the book was talking about too, right? About, there's like living, let me just, because what exactly did it say? They have to live out something based on what they lived out in the past, but they are the ones that have to discover it. If they don't, whatever it is does not get called out, and they do not get to universalize it. So reconnecting, it's almost like now I'm getting this feeling of like, if you've had kind of something that's been locked away, and it would have been locked away probably because of other people's projections, whether that was your parents, your siblings, your guardians, teachers, coaches, whatever it would have been when we were kids, right? It could have just been something that they didn't quite understand, or they were envious of, or whatever, like I said, right? Like their own projections. And you just kind of locked it away in one of your filing cabinets in your mind. And this card is saying, go find it. There it is. Fire is still burning. It's still there, right? It's still within you. And then, the Page of Cups would say that it's almost kind of like it like reintegrates back into you. And there's like kind of even just this little sense of excitement, even if you're keeping it to yourself for the time being. And then we have the Ten of Stones, which is the Ten of Pentacles. Let me just grab, I like reading what the author has to say about like their interpretation. It says, I enjoy abundance. I enjoy abundance. My desires are becoming my reality. I have all that I need, material and spiritual wholeness. Absolutely. Generally the tens have to do with community or family, or, it's usually like with the nines, you have this sense of completion. It's like individual completion though, right? Like you completed the thing that whatever the energy is of that suit. And then when we get to the 10, it's like, okay, now I can share those things with other people. And that could very well be what this is. Like eventually, whatever this kind of thing that you're unlocking here, it could be something that you end up sharing with other people, or that other people are just going to recognize because you're just going to be doing it. whatever it is. But what's interesting about this card is that it's more individual. Like, I enjoy abundance. My desires are becoming my reality. I have all that I need, material and spiritual wholeness. And I love that there's animals around here. It could be something that has to do with animals. Doesn't have to, I'm just pointing it out. I love how happy this figure looks. Third eye is lit up right here also. So, you know, like following your own inner guidance. There's this rainbow going on. A house over here. So, you know, like you feel content. Like it was saying, spiritual and material wholeness. Stones have to do with, or pentacles have to do with how we make our money. What are we spending our time doing? We also have the 9 of stones over here. So what does that one say? The dedication and work was worth it. I savor my self-reliance. I am unstoppable. Absolutely. This is beautiful, right? Like, and then the Emperor, let me see. The Emperor says, when in doubt, return to center. A certain amount of structure is necessary for our well-being. I love that. Because again, you know, like it was talking about in the book, something that you may struggle with is the vulnerability part, or, you know, being detached and uninvolved because of, you know, like fearing that you can't live up to the projection of others. Excuse me, coffee. But damn their projections, okay? Like, we're not going to be able to prevent that. I know, like for me personally, I have tried in my life to kind of like almost like work my way around projections. It doesn't really work, really. And it takes a lot of energy, a lot of mental gymnastics. It's a lot of fear based too. And honestly, like, you know, we have no control over that. And especially because it is part of our profile, right? It's going to be part of our being. But with you guys, it would be, you know, just kind of recognizing that, they are projections. It's not, you know, anything that you need to hold on to. I always, like, I you know, people talk about energy protections and all of that. And anytime I feel projected on, or anytime I feel that there's an expectation put on me, because I just absolutely, I'm like a robot. I will just shut down when I feel like there's an expectation swirling around me from somebody else. I imagine like almost like pushing it back to wherever it came from. Like, it's not mine. I don't want it. I don't like the way that it feels in my body. So I'm going to send it back to wherever it came from. And if they don't want it, then I have an intention for it to be cleansed and cleared and just sent out to the ethers to be available energy for whoever needs it whenever they need it. Because yeah, I don't want that shit. I don't want that shit. And if the person who is the owner of that doesn't want it either, then again, set an intention that the energy is going to be cleansed and cleared, and then just kind of sent out to the ethers to be made available to whoever would need it whenever they need it. And the Emperor also talks about this authority. You know, like it's all of the kings put together. So it's having, you know, kind of all of you have the wands, the cups, the pentacles, the swords, like you have all of that in balance. Even, I mean, like, look at his stance here, right? Is this a walrus or a seal? I don't know. Very proud, almost, right? But I love that it was talking about, when in doubt, return to center. Return to what is this flame in here? Why does that flame kind of burn for you? Like, where does that come from? Right? Like, it's like remember who you are. What is that from? Moana? I have been referencing Moana so much the last couple of days. If you watch my shorts, there was one on the 19th that I was like, this feels like Moana. Or is there an owl in some cartoon too that's like, who are you? But anyway, it's like, if those projections, or if you, again, like if you kind of feel that way, even if you're projecting on yourself, because we're not immune to doing that either. But just, again, like, return to center, go back to, what am I even doing? Why am I even doing this? Oh yeah, it lights me up. Love it. And, like, I feel whole and abundant doing it. And then we have the Seed of Stones here, which is, kind of technically the card that comes after the 10 of Stones, like, in sequence at least. That would be the Page of Pentacles. So, the Page of Pentacles to me is like the apprentice. It's somebody who is, like, the pages are when you just step into the energy. So they're a little new, like your legs may be a bit wobbly. You may not know what the hell you're doing. But, this is an energy that is temporary. Things are only new for a short period of time. So, this could be taking a class or a course in the thing that you're interested in. It could be going to school, like signing up for actual, continued education for the thing. It could be finding a new job in that field. It could even be finding a mentor in that field. But it's also very kind of future focused. Like, this deer is looking to the right, and the right side of the cards are future, the left side are past, which is also interesting because this person is coming from the past, right? And pointing towards the future. I would say this otter or this beaver is floating towards the future. The Two of Wands is moving, right? So this is all like, this energy of like moving forward. And then the Two of Wands, like I said, almost kind of feels like it's that energy of like rubbing those two wands together to start that fire. And it says, I leave doubt behind, trust in myself, and create my own path, which is also so cool that it's next to the Emperor, and the Emperor says, when in doubt, return to center. And then right next to it, it's saying, nah, like, I'm actually going to leave that doubt behind. And I'm going to forge my own path. And honestly, that's kind of if you look up the definition of heretic, of course, like, there's those definitions that talk about religion and kind of being that person that like goes against the traditional teachings of religion or whatever, which could very well be true. It's very true for me, but it also talks about somebody who goes against tradition. They don't like follow, kind of the path that everybody else does. And that's, I mean, like, heretic in my profile is where half of my name comes from, my business name, right? And then the owl part has to do with wisdom and guidance. So it's kind of, this mesh between like my own inner guidance, because I've never really felt traditional. I never really, that traditional path never really sat well with me anyway. But so again, I mean, like, that might be something that and maybe part of the struggle is like, man, like, having that traditional 9 to 5, the traditional, you know, like, get married, have a house, have kids, you know, I mean, if that is what you want, of course, absolutely, that's perfect. But if it's not, you know, right, like it's kind of understanding that, you know, like you do have the power and the control to forge your own path. Or at least make it look however you want it to look, right? Regardless of if it's traditional or not. But it is going to be like unique to you, right? Like it's going to have this unique kind of feeling to you, and you're going to feel good about it. So, you know, like whatever the Seed of Stones is, whether it is like taking a course, a class, hiring a coach, finding a mentor, getting into school, getting a new job, whatever it is, right? It's going to be because, you know, you've left that doubt behind, and it is more in alignment with where you see yourself going. And then, like I said, we have the 9 of Stones here at the bottom of the deck. The dedication and work was worth it. I savor my self-reliance, and I am unstoppable. Hell yeah. You absolutely are. The 7 of Stones is behind that. Again, like putting in the work, right? But it's like happily putting in the work because it's something that you are interested in. Finally, right? Like it's something that lights you up. And again, you know, like I was mentioning at some point, you know, follow your strategy and authority for those things. You know, just kind of look up what, you know, it'll say on your chart what your type is, what your strategy and authority is. And then, you know, like I said, there's some great resources out there. And if you made it this far, thank you so much. I am so glad that we are on this journey together. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.